Welcome to Real Talk with Tina and Ann. I am Ann.
And I'm Denise.
Well, for all of you that might not remember Denise, this is Denise Bard. She used to be a regular, and I am so glad to have her back on. I'm very excited because this is an episode and a half.
Mm.
I recently watched the Mariska Hargitay documentary, and it touched me on so many levels. If you have not watched it, My Mom Jane, a 2024 HBO documentary directed by Mariska Hargitay, the movie depicts her relationship with her family, especially her mom, who was Jane Mansfield, a very famous Hollywood iconic actress from the 50s and 60s, and she tragically died in a car accident with all three of her kids in the back seat, and
Mhm.
Mariska was one of them, and she was only 3 at the time. I'm not giving anything away from the movie. This is where actually the story begins. Mariska in this movie really seeks to understand her mom and who she really was outside of the Hollywood version of her and the family secrets that shaped Mariska's identity. I would recommend this to everybody. Have you seen it, Denise?
No, I haven't seen the whole thing. I actually saw some clips online, so I haven't watched. I don't even think I can get it because I don't think I have the program. I missed it when it was
Okay,
streaming on something that I could watch it on, but I don't have,
great.
I forget what it is, HBO. I don't have that. But I did get to watch some of the clips, and it's like I've been waiting for it to come out on more platforms so I could see the whole thing because it really does draw you in.
It does, and I plan on watching it again. I mean, it really it spoke to me on so
Hmm.
many levels. And I don't like to watch really hard stories where it makes me feel too much,
Yeah.
you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I normally just walk away, turn the TV off if I start feeling some. I don't know why I'm like that, but sometimes they just hit too deep and I can't watch. But this one I had to watch from beginning to end and will probably, like I said, watch it again because it's my girl, it's
Yeah.
Mariska. And there are a few celebrities where I feel like I know them and they're my friend. And
Yeah.
she's one of those people. And I've been watching SVU for years and I watch it because I relate. And I feel like she is that person who validates me. And she helps us feel heard and she helps us feel believed. And I think somebody who helps give you that voice is one of the most important things that you can do for somebody.
Yeah, I think that's right. She is relatable, especially
Hmm.
like if you've been in positions of the keeping secrets. It's as if you're talking to a dear friend or listening to a friend. You might not have the same story, but there's something about it that, and I've
Yeah.
always said this, we might not share the same story, but there's such a relatable thing. And when you do, it almost opens you up and it makes those fears of containment, I don't want to say disappear, but allows you to be more vulnerable because you have somebody else across from you or like she is that, wow, she's vulnerable. I feel that.
Yeah, it gives you permission.
Yes.
Well, she
So,
was sexually assaulted, and
yeah.
they do talk about that in the movie. And
Yeah.
it also helps me feel closer to her knowing that about her. It helps me understand her mission on SVU and the movement Joyful Heart Foundation for survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse. Everything resonated with me during this movie. But the part that hit me in the gut I think was how the family secrets were woven throughout the entire movie. And I think one of the biggest killers of relationships is secrets. And in
Mhm.
this case, family secrets and the things we don't talk about, the things that sit in the corners of our family history, collecting dust and shaping us years after they
Mhm.
happened. The thing that we still don't talk about with some of our family because they still act like that didn't happen. And I asked Denise because she has had such a special place on the podcast and understands what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up where, and the secrets, especially now, is, they were secrets to me, but found out that they weren't such secret after all because other people knew of them. So
Ah,
it changes the game when they're known by other people. So are they really
mm,
a secret?
a secret to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not okay. That means that there were more than one people that they were keeping this secret from you. And it was
Oh, yeah.
intentional that they were all collectively in on something
Yep.
against you. Secrets, the kind where you grow up believing one thing
Mm-hmm.
about who you are, and in a single moment, your identity instantly unravels. The kind where decisions are made by adults long ago, like you said, behind
Yeah.
closed doors, and the truth was kept from you, regardless of their reason. I mean, why do you think secrets are kept from kids or other people in the family?
I think that there's a number of things. I think they're kept because it exposes those people to who they
Okay.
really are. In my case, there was a lot of abuse. You don't want anybody
Mm-hmm.
else on the outside. I always call it a facade.
Mm-hmm.
Is outside. Well, I had to keep the secrets on the inside. My grandmother would always say, "Nobody needs to know what goes on behind these doors. It's family related.
Right.
It has nothing." So you keep these facades on, and a lot of people look at you and have no idea. They think this is great or whatever, but the truth is something different on the inside. And those
Mm-hmm.
people who are making you keep those secrets don't want anybody to know that because they are viewed in a different light. In
Mm-hmm.
public, they are not what they are in private. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of
Hmm.
times there's the whole adoption thing, and I'm not personally adopted, so I don't know that I'd ever be able to speak on it. I know a lot of times parents choose to not tell their child either at all, which I don't know. I'm not sure that I would agree upon doing that, but I don't live in someone's life, or they choose to keep it until a certain age where they feel like the child would understand.
Adoption is a really big one. I mean, I was adopted and a lot of secrets were kept, and all five of my kids are adopted. And I'll talk more about that later, but I really do want to emphasize that I wanted the truth to be out. I wanted
Mhm.
them to know age appropriate, and my kids have always known that they were adopted. I've never
Yeah,
kept that from them, and I've also let them know their stories. And if somebody doesn't tell them, then somebody else is going to tell them and they're going to rewrite the story for them. And I
correct.
honestly think that they should hear the truth as it is, as it
Yeah,
really is. And
right.
and if they find out later something so horrific or identity changing,
Mm,
I guess that then that changes their relationship with you because you weren't honest.
yeah,
And I never wanted to keep things from my kids. I always let them know from the get-go who they were with the information that I had, you know.
right.
According to the Journal of Family Psychology, family secrets are common, with up to 97% of families keeping some type of secret. Research shows that secrets related to identity,
Mm,
trauma, or betrayal can have the most damaging psychological effects, often leading to anxiety, depression, and strained relationships, which absolutely. A study by psychologists, and I know I'm not going to say this right, but Vangelisti and Coughlin found that secrecy within families often leads to feelings of shame, confusion, and distrust, especially in children. Why are these secrets kept? Like you were trying to
yeah,
talk about, sometimes they're meant to protect, like you said, of
yeah,
themselves, that person. Other times they're about avoiding shame or
yeah.
deflecting guilt. So often the silence is about protecting the image of the very person who doesn't want you to know what they did to
Mm,
you or to someone else in the family. But no matter the reason, the impact is real. And sometimes, especially if it is a child, the secret is kept so the child is not hurt. Like in Mariska's case, do you think as a child grows that they should know when a secret has to do with them?
I can only talk on personal experience. For me, there, as I'm 50 years old now, I am continuing to learn some of the secrets that even I didn't know exist. And so I think that some of the secrets that I had or that were kept from me were traumatic, right? However,
Mm-hmm.
I remember bits and pieces. And so I never get to put the story together and put closure to it because there are still secrets being kept, no matter
Right.
what they are. I don't know the appropriate age. I think it depends on the secret, I guess. This is such a tricky. tricky
Mhm.
situation, right? If you're, for me, it was traumatic what happened to me. I don't think anybody was going to tell me at that age, even though there were a lot of people who knew, right? Um, they didn't understand that I understood so much. So now in my
Mm.
50s, I'm still understanding what it was, but as I'm older, now I'm frustrated because that part of the secret has still been kept and I'm still back there. It's almost like you're stuck in that time.
When those secrets touch the very foundation of who
Mm,
you are, they are never small. Never. No
no.
matter how small you think that they are. Honestly, I think once something becomes a secret, it's no longer small. It instantly becomes big. It instantly becomes something. And maybe it wouldn't have if it would have been in the open.
Yeah. There's an emotional toll of silence. Like, not all secrets are meant to be malicious. But when they affect your identity, your safety, your story, they become harmful. Secrets can lead to emotional fragmentation, where your sense of self is splintered by half-truth, causing you to know or not know what is true and is what not true, or what is not true. Um, they can create emotional isolation too, especially for children who feel they're carrying the weight of family shame. And boy, do I know that. And most importantly, secrets can be inherited, not just events, but the silence, the shame, the survival behavior. Yeah, there's all of that and then some for me personally.
Yeah, I want to touch on a couple of these. I can relate with the emotional isolation. I was that kid who
Hmm.
carried the weight of a family secret, and I was told to hold it in, and I was not allowed to tell. It affected me to my core and affected my relationship with the person until they died. And I was never able to let it go. I've often asked the question if I forgave that person because I
Mm,
know forgiveness is so important, and I'm a Christian, and I know that that's important. That's not a question that I even think that I can answer for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But what happens when you are that kid that is told to keep a secret, or an adult who is afraid to tell something because of fear is the manipulator, and survival is the motivation.
I always call fear a prison. You are imprisoned with everything that is kept secret because it is the fear. I would be told all the time. For me, it was, um, again, we don't tell people what happens behind closed doors, or the fear to keep the secret was if you tell someone you're going to get hurt, we need to keep this secret. You don't want them to laugh at you. You don't want them to tell you you're crazy. You don't want, it was always something that I was told would happen to me if I told the secret. It's as if, when you have childhood abuse, especially sexual abuse, um, you know, they're told to keep quiet because somebody else is going to get hurt if you say something. So the manipulation is there to scare you that if you say something,
Yeah.
somebody else is going to get hurt. And again, like survival, like I had to keep secrets. How
Hmm.
am I gonna be able to survive if I didn't? Those fears, the threats of keeping secrets is what really silences you in that prison. But it's something that you take with you as you get older. Like as I'm older now, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to ever find the answers to some of those secrets. This emotional toll from, inherited and family. It's a cycle. I didn't know that other families weren't like that.
Well, the events normally are bad enough.
Yeah.
But then secrets add an extra layer to everything. It
Hmm.
just makes it so much worse. And the other part of this is what you talked about with secrets being inherited. I can say that for, a long time, I held on to the secrets that were done before me. And I
Yeah.
felt the power behind them until family members passed away. And then I
Yes.
felt, and after they passed away, I felt free to say them, or at least allow them to be a little bit more out in the open. And I even got a dove tattooed on my arm after my
Yeah.
mom died. I'll just say it. I mean, it was my mom who kept a lot of the secrets. And my adopted mom, after my dad died, some pretty horrific things happened in my family when I was 11, 12 years old. And it honestly could have be a documentary, and I was made to believe that I had to take those secrets to my grave like she did. And
Mm.
but then I realized those secrets were not mine. I didn't do anything wrong, so I was not going to own their shame.
Yeah, I there's so many generational secrets in my family. And there was a point in my life where it was I was searching for the answers for everybody else. And I
Okay.
stopped doing that. And I thought, no, that's your closet to have to figure out. I can't do that for you.
Right.
And yeah, it's freeing when you realize that. And I'll say this too, my grandmother passed away and it was almost, and I hate to say this because there were good things, not a lot. But the abuses that came from my grandmother and my mother were quite different. But it was freeing as well. It's I was able to then not be afraid to be me. I don't know if that you know,
There you go.
because you were, holding on to everything. And
Yeah.
finally, I can share things and not worry and have that fear. My mother's still living, but we have something in place where she's not in contact. There's no contact. So in our family and everything that we have, she doesn't exist. And therefore, that also,
Mm.
a judge made sure that that would never happen again. So I can't take on their burden of whatever their secrets were.
And the shame behind secrets can be devastating and can affect someone's entire identity. And I think the secrets in my family shaped me more than the things that were out in the open. And that's a huge thing to say. And it's a hard thing to admit.
Yeah. When you don't have answers, when people pass away and they take that to their grave, so that piece of me is never
Mhm.
going to be complete. And I wasn't adopted. So I can only say this is what I would imagine it to be when you are a person who is not with the biological family. So you're always questioning, who am I? Right? It's the who am I? And for me, I still have that question. I didn't know my paternal side of my family. I just reconnected with my father and I got answers to secrets that were kept. This was like a whole other level for me. And so it made me question even more. Oh
Yeah.
my God, who am I? Like, I know that sounds weird. Like you said, how is it that you don't know your identity, right? But it is because the more secrets that come out to you, I don't understand. It's almost like it also validates all of those feelings of isolation. It validates all
Okay.
those emotions of feeling alone. It's a lot of validating too when secrets come out, as horrible as they may be, and as hard as they may be, there's a validation in it as well.
I mean, it's really hard when you believe for a really long time that you're one thing. And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden it's like somebody puts another piece in the puzzle, but now the puzzle's completely different and it will never look the same again. So it's like, what do you do with that piece that's been missing for a really long time and you've been okay with it? You've been living without it, and all of a
yeah,
sudden now it changes the whole perspective. And you touched on something else, which it really is our perspective of our childhood. It's how we saw it. It's what we remember, what we believe. And
yeah,
there could be three different kids in the same family and they remember it completely different. And it's because sometimes, a parent is different to every single child, but sometimes it really does come down to how each child sees what happened, or and especially when there's dysfunction.
yeah,
So it's really interesting to see everybody's different perspective and the identity shift that happens. Some people need to know every single detail too, and to
yeah.
find peace, and some people don't. And it's okay. I mean, neither way is wrong. But when your identity changes in a moment, which has happened to me quite a few times, it deserves to be honored. And
Mm-hmm.
when your truth finally surfaces, it deserves space. And when your story was shaped without your consent, you have every right to rewrite it on your own terms. That is what this movie with Mariska, I think, was about. And that's what I would want to ask her anyway if I ever got the chance. But someone else told her story
Yeah.
and she wanted the right to tell her own story. And I think there could be a line of people who want to tell your narrative to hide the truth. But in
Mm.
Mariska's case, she did an entire investigation to get the truth behind her family's secrets, to know her own identity. And it ripped her apart for a little while. It broke her, but she wanted to know who she was. And, Denise, you wrote a book about
Mm.
your own narrative. Did that
Yes.
help you find out who you were?
It definitely helped me start the path. It
Okay.
definitely helped me to see that story that I've rewritten for myself because I was finally able to share what I kept secret as far as what was happening at home. So my book, The 30-Second Moments and the Women Who Raised Me, was about the teachers who unbeknownst to them, raised me because at home I was facing this abuse, and I was to keep secrets. And so
Mm,
that did help me to notice that I wasn't the story that was written for me. I've
hmm
become the story I've written for myself. So, yeah, it started on the right path. And as I said, I'm still learning secrets. That maybe that'll be another book. I don't know. And as you said, with her telling her own story, there are so many stories about me out there. It depends on who's telling it.
Mm,
And this
interesting.
for me is I'm going to tell my story. I'm still learning about who I am. I just want to put this out there too. I as I've written the book and more people have read it that knew me growing up,
Hmm
that's where I've learned the most because all of a sudden the answers or the secrets that they were keeping have been
Mm,
exposed to me. And I think you also have to think
right.
about who the story's coming from. Are they reliable sources? Do you feel like they are? But I had was the daughter of a couple, an older couple who used to babysit me. Do you know how you got there? And I'm like, yeah, you babysat me, or they babysat me. She said, no, the authorities brought you. The secret continued because I found out, and I know I'm sharing right here, so I hope you don't mind. My mother was 16 when she had me. My father was 18. He wasn't in the picture. Within my family, found out as an adult that my grandmother had had a child out of wedlock, and she was
Mm,
forced to give this child up. Just found this out about 7 years ago. Learning that and then coming and hearing this new story, as
yeah.
well as she was very promiscuous, and the people that she was promiscuous with, she can get away with anything, especially with the system. So I was definitely a pawn in it, and so those secrets are now coming
Ah,
out, and I'm learning this. And there's the identity crisis. You're like, what is going on? So
mhm.
when one secret is told, there is a flutter of all the things. I've just learned some stuff probably in the last 2 months that I was
Oh,
like, are you kidding me? So then it makes you question everything about yourself. I mean, I know my
yes.
truth, but it's added stuff to this mystery of who I am. It's a mystery, you know?
I just found out things about me in the last week. I'll even say 48 hours that I did not know.
Oh,
And I knew pieces, parts of it,
yes. Yeah.
but I didn't know the underlying truth.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I know a lot more now than I did a couple days ago. But it's not easy when that happens. And I loved your word when you're a pawn. I mean,
Hmm.
it's like we're a human being.
Yeah.
We were a child and we needed to be recognized for who we are, for who we were. And we're just not somebody that could be pushed under the rug or the story not be important for you, for us to really know what really happened to us. I just think that that's horrific. And I also took something from what you said about how, it really comes down to everybody's perspective in writing your story, what we
Hmm.
said, when
Yeah.
people want to write our story.
Hmm.
And it's from how they knew us. Like, I
Right.
know that the teachers in your life would have told your story one way,
Yes.
and, people when you were in the group home would have told it another way.
Right.
And, your mom would tell it another way and vice versa. I mean, everybody has these
Yes.
different versions of what really happened.
Right.
And so I can remember with me, after one of the worst things, my dad died when I was 11, and the worst thing happened to me actually after my dad died to
Mm,
compound what happened by the
yeah.
adults around me. And those secrets were kept all the way to the graves of the people that were responsible for it. With that said, I was going into seventh grade, and I did not even know who I was or what was going on. And my dad was gone. There was so much stuff, abuse going on in my home. I was very quiet. I was very, like, just searching. I didn't even know how to be anymore. And I was in seventh grade, going into the worst time of your life,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because nobody likes middle school. Everybody's already awkward.
Yes.
And there I was, and I fast forward many decades later, ran into my science teacher, and he had me that year, the year that I was the most lost in my life.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh, hi, you were my favorite teacher and all this stuff. I mean, because he really was. I had him written all over my science book. I have a crush on so and so. I won't say his name, but he was really cute. So
yeah.
anyway, but he says to me back, oh, yeah, you were the one that was really troubled. I remember
Mm,
that about you. You had a lot of problems.
yeah.
Mm. You
Yeah.
know, is that how that's what you want to do? I mean,
Yeah.
here we are, decades later. I'm an adult, a very successful adult. Okay. I mean, I guess this is my time to be able to say, you know what? Yeah. And I made it anyway.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was.
it's like you want to tell them, yeah, yeah, I was troubled, but the secret is why, they don't know why. Yeah, I was troubled because you don't even understand or know why I was troubled.
Yeah, I didn't even, I was like, no, you know what? Certain people are worth the explanation. You are
Oh,
not. You are
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And if he would have said it differently or whatever, I think maybe I might have shared with him. And I don't even know because I don't really share that much for just anything. I mean, we do the podcast. I
Yeah.
always believe in helping others. And I will tell my story if I know for sure that it will help somebody else. But I'm not going to tell it just to tell it, just
Yeah.
to make you think of me differently than you just did.
Oh, it's so funny that you say that because I think I spent many years trying to do that to the
Mm,
people who I thought looked at me as that troubled child. And I don't
yeah.
even know for sure that they did. But they were the ones in middle school was the most difficult. And I was difficult then, but there were reasons I wasn't the troubled child that you think I was. I mean, I was, but not for the reasons you think. I was a
Mhm.
pawn in someone else's story. Doesn't matter how much I tell them, they're going to believe what they want to believe. And I
Yeah.
can't change that. So I learn and I'm working on accepting that and saying, you know what? You're missing out on who I am today.
I spent years because of the secrets and because of the problems that I had when I was a kid. I didn't go a great direction,
Yeah.
and I got lost. I made a lot of really bad choices. I ended up with wrong people. I ended up having more abuse in my younger years. And, that's what taught me how to be different and how to look for different. I can't even believe I was that person back then. But it's just really sad that even then people tried to write my narrative. And
Yeah.
if I could have told them what had happened up to this point, and I was just, sometimes people are just seeking and they're just looking to find their own selves. I
Yeah.
was as broken as could be. And
Yeah.
yes, I handled it badly the first 20, almost 30 years of my life. I handled it horribly, but I also didn't have a lot of direction. And the people that raised me didn't give me the direction that I needed. I did not have those parents around me to help me tell me the right way to go. I didn't. and they made the bad choices. They were the ones that, how can you look to people who made so many bad choices and ask them for help? You can't
Yeah.
do that. I mean, that adds a whole nother layer of problem, which comes down to trust. You know, there are so many parts to finding out the depths of a lie or a secret. And what we're talking about here is grief, the loss of what we thought was the truth. And there are so many rippling effects when a secret is uncovered and the identity is within yourself is changed. It can tear us apart. It can tear families apart. And the other thing that happens, which we just kind of touched on, what is that trust is lost. Trust. And when you're taught not to trust your own memories. I th
Mm,
I think that was the biggest loss for me as a child. I lost my dad. I lost my mom because of the secrets and the lies that she kept. I lost trust and I lost my adult relationships. And I was a small child. I learned young not to trust anyone. And I think the biggest thing I lost was the loss of trust. And it wasn't my dad, and it was my dad, but it led to the worst losses. And I
yeah.
stopped believing who my mom was. I stopped believing what she told me as a pretty young kid. And I no longer believed what I saw around me. What was doubted. The loss of innocence was gone. And that's huge.
It is. It is. We talked about grief just now. For my grief, when I learned of a secret recently, my mother was a drug addict. I was in kinship care with my grandmother.
Mm,
I found out that my father never knew where I was, that I wasn't in kinship. He didn't know who had custody of me. That was a big secret even to him. But finding out the control that she had,
mm,
the grief that was there was I could have had a different life if she didn't have control. So therefore, could the system have worked for me? We all know the system's broken, like completely broken.
yeah,
But
true.
in my mind, was I had to grieve the fact that I could have had something. I believed for a long time that I didn't deserve it, or it just was never meant for me. It wasn't meant for me. But then to find out that secret that no, she manipulated the system. And then when you talk about trust, whew, that's the hard part because when you're learning secrets, who can you trust? Who's who's trustworthy? Yeah, it's hard to know who you are when there are questions that linger. But somebody has the truth and to that. Somebody has the answer to that. And for me, recently, I was told someone had passed away a couple of years ago, who has answers to some of my questions.
Mm.
But they told me he died and he didn't. He just doesn't want to
Mm.
be found and the people don't want to tell me. Yeah. So
Oh
go
my
figure.
gosh.
So there you go. There's a
Oh,
secret out there that there's an answer to it and everybody is avoiding to tell me. And I'm 50 years old. I'm like, okay, I think I'm old enough now, no matter how traumatic it was, because I've gone through trauma. I have been through trauma. I've lived through things that people said I never should have. How horrific can it be if they're still keeping that a secret?
oh, that's all. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I would do with that.
I
And
don't,
the
I'm
secret that
so
they're
confused.
keeping, how much bigger could it be than everything that you already know?
Yeah, exactly. That was a shocker to get. Something I gotta work through.
There was something that you said about that you trust yourself. I think that there's another layer to that because I think when, and I know this personally, when someone tells you something that didn't happen when you actually saw it with your eyes,
Hmm.
it's crazy making. And it really does make you doubt yourself. It's like all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. And you don't trust your own self.
Yeah,
Now that's the ultimate loss, I think, too.
yeah.
When you can't even trust yourself, and silence creates fear. And that's an inner child killer.
It is. And even it doesn't matter how old you are, when you have faced abuse and then you see that abuser or you see that somebody else and you know that they're telling somebody else a different story, and there's a part of me that, okay, I just had this happen to me, and I'm just going to divulge it. My father's wife and I had a disagreement on a lot of things. And when I went to talk to her about a small thing that I thought was what we were going to discuss from 2 years ago, she brought up 30 years ago, continued to tell me these things that she was the martyr and I wasn't. And I tell you, when you question yourself, she called me a drama queen. When somebody else looks at you and it's almost as if like it didn't happen. And what it did was it triggered me back to that 14-year-old who was trying
Got
to be
it.
believed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start to question yourself again. You know the truth. You
Mm-hmm.
know what happened. There's no like, oh, did I make that story up? You know that that happened to you. But when
Mm-hmm.
somebody else comes in and ripples that, you start to question things all over again. And it's almost like you have to go back through that process of who am I now? Like this
Mm-hmm.
is me, that I'm not that story that people were still making of me. The identity gets shaken a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what about the loss of identity, which we have touched on throughout, different times of this podcast, when the truth unravels us, the ones that fracture who we are, which we're talking about here, the ones that twist your foundation and make you question everything. And those secrets really matter. I don't care what anybody says, they really matter.
Mhm.
Mariska was made to think she was one thing, but she wasn't. And I've had those deep of hurts. And I've had lies so deep I didn't know who I was. And you know what I think can even be worse is when the people holding the truth or the one outing the truth to you, telling you, they really possibly, because this happened to me, they dropped a bomb and they walked out the door basically without a care in the world that they had just left me as if a tornado had just burst my world and I couldn't even breathe. And they didn't even care.
Yeah, yep. I've had this happen again, like most recently, and it was nothing to them. Like, oh yeah, by the way, but to me, it was like, hold on, this is just a like another layer. Like, wait, stop. I've got to process it. When I learned some of these secrets that were being held from me, and then they told me, it was really a whirlwind, especially the one girl who said, yeah, like my parents will say foster you. And she was like, they really tried to keep you. And I'm like, "Oh, stop." And then she disappeared.
Mm,
She ghosted me. I haven't been able to, but I'm left with that. And you're like, how do I even process it? It's a whole processing thing when you're
right.
trying to take in such a huge secret, you
Yeah.
know?
It's a whole different layer when the person who had been keeping this secret, they've been holding it and then they just drop it and they're just like, huh,
See ya.
huh,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal to me. It can be very devastating to the other person.
Yeah. I've been trying to process some of the things that I've learned over the last month, and it's been difficult. And I'm in therapy, thank God, because I don't know that I would have managed through some of it. I mean, I'm still processing it all. When you grow up with these secrets, they identified you. Like you're the pawn in the story, right? I'm a pawn in their story. And so, however I fit into their story within these secrets and within these things, that's who I've been, but I'm not, you
Hmm.
know? So yeah, it's devastating, absolutely.
When silence becomes your survival, there is something wrong.
Hmm.
And to our listeners, is there a story in your family that's gone untold? Are there pieces of yourself you've only recently discovered? Whatever you find beneath the surface, let me tell you this, it doesn't make you less. Don't let their shame become yours. Once something is hidden, it becomes big, and don't let it be the weight that you carry. And I just had recently, like I said, something told me, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that we need time to sit in it sometimes. Some way I need time to process, to figure it out. And I'm a very compartmentalized person. And I have this and this and this. and
Yeah.
it's really been good for me. It's really helped me get to my next day, to be
Yeah.
that joyful person, to be that person that can hear something earth shattering and then put that down and go help my kids do what they need. And that's what I've had to do.
Yeah.
And people have said to me, "Oh my gosh, how?" Well, I think that that's really important, how.
Mhm.
And we're not all made that way. We're not all
No.
made. We're not all able to be able to put it down, to put that secret down, that bomb that just somebody told us, and to be able to go care for our kids or whatever it is we need to take care of at the time.
Yeah.
But for it not to consume us. And I think that that's really important. I mean, it can really consume us, but it's also really important for it not to, and for us
Yeah.
to go still do our things, but
Yeah.
come back, revisit, okay, sit in it for a little bit and go live, sitting in it for a little bit, because I'm telling you, it will continue to grow and change and do what it needs to while we're living. And I
Mhm.
think that that's really important.
Yeah, when you so for me I'm opposite. I'm opposite. I really kind of it consumed me and it was really hard for me to take that next step. Like I didn't it was almost like you're walking and all of a sudden you hit a curb and you can't even figure out how to get your foot up on the curb to even walk further. And
Hmm.
so that happens. It definitely happens. Again, I'm a
Hmm.
big proponent for therapy because I think I would have been still stuck and I still am. I mean, like I said, 50 years old and I'm learning all these things that people knew and no one told me. And so I have two kids, obviously. They're older, but I have a special needs son. And so his life doesn't stop because I'm thrown a shell. But at the same point, I'm navigating that being
Right.
a parent and holding on to the weight of these secrets that were just revealed to me. But you're right, you can't live in them. This is something for me. I'm so tired of the secrets. I'm so tired of not letting other people see who I am because of the things that happen to me. Obviously, we don't always divulge everything, but when we keep the secrets that were even told to us, like it's this everything is a secret, we're then not authentically ourselves. Like I said, like I didn't know the reason why my father wasn't allowed near me. Say this, my father was a drug addict. Well, it's glad, it was a thing that he should not have been near me. Nobody ever told me why. Nobody said he was being threatened. Nobody would ever. But it's also one of those things where, I'm like, oh my God, like did that really happen? You're almost shocked. The family secrets. We have family
Right.
secrets that didn't just affect me, but I've been
Right.
the only one to say, hey, you know what? That happened. That happened. And
Hmm.
so there's also, when you're able to do that, it's a strength. It's scary. It's absolutely scary and overwhelming to not
Hmm.
hold on to your secrets. But yeah, it's hard when somebody throws the bombshell and you still have to live life.
Yeah, there were a couple big ones, and I want to tell you something. If you are still carrying those secrets decades later,
Mm,
it's time to put them down.
yeah.
And the emotional toll of silence is heavy, and it chips away at your sense of truth, your identity, and sometimes even your sanity as you carry what was never meant to be yours anyway. And I want to say this because I believe, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as I mentioned earlier, I have 5 kids, all adopted, and I was adopted. And I made a vow, no secrets.
Hmm.
And they've always known the truth in age appropriate ways. Like I said, I didn't want anything to be hidden. And it's kind of funny because my son, even now at 8 years old, still asks, "What was it like when I was in your belly?" And he knows that he was adopted. He
Yeah.
knows who his biological mom is. He knows all of it. But it's really important to him for me to be that person that carried him. I don't know why. It just is. And so we kind of pretend with the facts at hand, and he absolutely knows. And I'll say that to him, and he'll say, "I know." but I just want to do this. And that's
Mm,
fine.
yeah.
It's the narrative that he wants to play out. And for some reason, it's really important to him. And I had to dig for the truth. I had to. And
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to have to dig for the truth. And some things, like we said, they were taken to their graves, and other things were outed in a way that it was wrong the way that they were outed.
Hmm.
And that kind of control over someone else's truth, it's not protection when somebody goes to their grave with it. That's erasure.
Yeah. I have to say this when you were talking about, never keeping secrets from your kids. I kept my childhood a secret from my husband, of
Mm,
course, my kids.
hmm
My son has autism, so
Okay.
he'd never know. But I kept my childhood a secret from friends, not very close. I mean, my close friends, there were a few that knew, but everybody else I kept the secret from. I kept the secret from my husband because I didn't want him to see me as the past. I wanted him to see me as the present. And
hmm
I kept the secret from my, daughter just because there is that part of shame when you've had so many traumatic things happen to you.
hmm
You're always keeping a secret, and I want to say that I didn't lie. I just never said anything.
Right.
And so she's 21 now. My husband does know things happen to me. He chooses that he doesn't want to know specific because it's hard for him. But he knows now that, yeah, I didn't have I mean, he had an idea. He's never liked my family when they were in our lives. But my daughter, it's interesting because as she has known now the truths, she said something to a friend of mine. She's like, my mom's stronger than I ever thought she was. And so
mm
there's something in that because it
mm
also, when you are able to be you and say, yeah, these things happened to me, or be able to tell some of the secrets, it's amazing. It's not just a weight off you, but the other person. Where like my daughter always kept saying, "Oh, you're so strong, you're so strong." And then when she heard some of the things, and I didn't tell her till she was, well, actually this year is when she found out. And like it's amazing because they see you in already as this, I guess, the superhero. I like to think that that's what she always thought me of, and now I'm an extra superhero.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but that's the thing too. It's like, how do you don't want her to ever have to keep secrets about anything. And we've raised our kids that way. My
Right.
mother called social services on me. And when they came, I said, to my kids, well, my daughter, I'm like, there's nothing for you to hide. You tell
Right.
everything, answer everything. There are no secrets. I remember saying that. There are no secrets.
Yeah, see, that's really important. And I was told,
Mm,
don't tell.
yeah,
No matter what, don't tell.
yeah, me too.
And and we deserve the right to grieve. We deserve the right for that history to be a part of us,
Yeah.
and we deserve for it to shape us, moving forward. And
Yeah.
I can tell you, you don't want to be on your deathbed like my mom was when she was dying and in hospice and made some really horrible choices to keep secrets hidden. And I did find out later. And, I don't want to be that person where I'm actually having somebody else to go in my house and grab things that I need to hide so nobody can find out so I can take it to my grave.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, somebody did tell me that they did that. And I still don't know what was on those papers. And I have an idea.
Yeah.
But, it is it important? Maybe, and maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, that's a question. Is it going to change? When I found out the dad that I had thought was my dad all those years, in a second, on a phone call, found out he wasn't. Does that change me? I don't know.
Or
I don't,
change who he was to you.
I don't, it doesn't change me. And
Mm.
it might, I don't know. And I don't think I should let it change me because somebody decided to drop a bomb. I'm still me. I'm
Yeah.
still who I am. I may never know what's on those papers. I may never know, which I did because of DNA and, all that cool stuff. And
Yeah.
my brother came up in Ancestry DNA or what, yeah, Ancestry.com. And we were so closely matched. It was crazy how close we were matched. And he doesn't live far from me. And we never met.
Mm,
We chose not to. Well, he did, really. But that's okay. Is it going to change me because we didn't meet because the history behind us is too hard
yeah,
for us to come together? And it has nothing to do with either one of us. It
right.
has to do with the decisions that were made before us and the
Yeah.
other generation. And that's okay. I got to meet some people on my dad's side, and the things that I found out about him was a horrible person. He was a horrible person, a really, really bad man.
Mm.
Does that change me? No, it doesn't change me. It actually makes me better because in spite of all of those things, look at who I am and look at what I've become. And that's
Yeah.
what this podcast has always been about. This is what the platform is always about. It doesn't matter what's happened to you or what people have done to you. You still have the right to be who you are and not
Right.
allow it to, get inside. That's just, I'm just putting that out there because it's been really, those kind of things can be really hard. Are secrets protecting or are they a prison? What
Hmm.
secrets shaped you, even if you didn't know it at the time? Were you carrying secrets before you even understood what you were carrying? When fear becomes the language that you speak and survival becomes your only mode of living, grief is not just losing people, it's about losing illusions of who you are, of everything about you, to anyone carrying the weight of a family secret, especially one that was never yours to keep. We see you. To those still navigating the grief of learning the truth late, we hear you. To the ones wondering if they should ask or let it go, you get to choose.
Yeah.
Your healing is valid, however it unfolds. And to anyone afraid that telling the truth will break something, maybe it will, but maybe that thing needed to break so you could finally breathe.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. One of the things, and I'll respect my father for this, is that he said you have no idea um the cycles that you have managed to break despite all the secrets that were kept. And so that
Mm,
I appreciate that. Despite the secrets, I have been able to break all these generational curses, if you will, or cycles of abuse or whatever it is. So even though you have secrets, like you said, it doesn't change who you are. Maybe it
hmm.
even makes you a little bit stronger, you know?
Yeah, I think so. It's what you do with it. I knew that all the pieces weren't there. I've always known that there's been secrets. My family was all about secrets,
Oh yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was made to keep them as well.
Yeah.
And I've decided to be different, and I've decided not to tell secrets. And I want the freedom. I mean, there is so much, it is a prison. If
Yes.
you choose to live, and I know people that they live by their lies and their secrets.
Yeah. I
They are constantly trying to cover up and trying to remember their lies and you know,
They
and
catch up
it's
with you. Yeah, it catches up with you. You can't keep the story straight. If it's a lie, it's going to constantly change. If it's the truth, it stays the same.
no matter how hard it is, I think you just need to be honest. And if you're honest from the very beginning, it isn't something that has snowballed and
Yeah.
gotten bigger and bigger through the years and that you finally need to
Yeah.
tell. Just be honest from the very beginning. And I know that there's lots of people that it's too late because the
Yeah.
secrets have been kept. And, maybe it's just time to tell it, to
Yeah.
sit the person down and let them know this is what I did. It would have been really nice if my mom would have said, my adopted mom would have said to me, I did this. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Do you
Yeah.
know what that would have done? I mean, I didn't hold her hand when she passed away because there was so much between us. There was
Yeah.
so much hurt between us. And I know I'm autistic and I know that I don't touch people anyway. But I
Yeah.
had that kind of relationship with her that I really never touched her. And I
Yeah.
really believe that it had to do with the way she handled everything after my dad passed away. And I wasn't included in in the story, the narrative of what was going on behind the scenes, and I was
Mhm.
told something different, and that's not okay. It's
No,
just not.
no.
And so it does affect you. And maybe I would have held her hand at the end. Maybe it wouldn't have been a nurse that held her hand at the end instead of me. And I just watched her. And then as I walked out the door, and then I did have a balloon that had been attached to her bed. And I was with one of my kids. She was pretty young at the time, and she decided to stay with me while she was passing away. After she passed away, my daughter and I, we walked out, we got in the car. I had the balloon that was attached to my mom's bed, and I got out to get gas, and I am not kidding you. The balloon was secured in that
Mhm.
car. It was secured. It wasn't getting out. It forced its way
Out.
into the front and out of the car, and it just went up.
And it took all of the struggles with it from you. Like, was it a release?
I, my daughter and I just went because it was not a normal, okay, the balloon flew out of the car because we
Yeah,
opened the door. It wasn't like that.
yeah,
It was something else. It was so strange. And then I had to get I instantly went and I got the faith
oh,
and
yeah,
the dove being releasing
yeah,
because that's what I felt.
yeah.
I felt I have been able to be me and be more of who I am and live free since she passed away. And you and I have talked about this
Yeah, we
before.
have. Yeah.
And it's really a shame that when even the secrets go down into somebody's grave and you're never even going to know the answers, you get to the point where it's okay because I can finally live.
Yeah, and there's and like I said, I'm a seeker. I want the truths to be revealed. But at the same point, like you said, if you have somebody who took them with them, you have to come to the accept that you're not going to know that truth.
Yeah,
And
I had
and
to
it
let it go.
yeah, yeah, you do. But it's okay too that if there's some of us who, I don't know, I just want to know. I just want to complete myself. That's how I always felt. If I just complete myself with whatever I know, there's many secrets still out there.
And it's not gonna, just because
But
a puzzle gets complete, it doesn't mean it tells the whole story.
no.
And and that's really important. And we can keep trying to, like I did the puzzle analogy earlier. I mean, it's you throw another piece on there and it changes the whole story of the
Yeah.
puzzle. What story do we want? And
Yeah.
that's really up to us. Do I
Yeah.
want to take in what somebody told me about my dad, what somebody
Yeah.
told me about my biological mom, and I have lots of stuff about that and
Yeah.
a lot of other people in my life? Or do I just want to be who I am, me right now?
Yeah.
Are those things important? And I think that those are all things that you have to answer for yourself. But I want to say this to everybody out there right now, everybody, 97% it said in the stats have lived with secrets. Every single family out there just about has had secrets. I can't believe that there's 3% of families that don't have any secrets. I mean, that's really
Yeah.
amazing to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was not in that 3%. But there's purpose in our pain and there is hope in our journey, and that's what we say every single time that we do Real Talk with Tina and Ann. And I want to thank you, Denise, for being here today. This has really meant the world to me to have this discussion because a lot of things have unfolded in the last 48 hours in my
Yeah.
life. And I've been interviewing a lot of people, and I said, you know what? Let's just do this. You and I
Yeah.
can just have a regular conversation. And this has really been, I want to say fun, but it's been intriguing and it's been eye-opening and
Yeah.
hopefully revealing the secrets. And hopefully, we didn't open up too many Pandora's boxes. I'm not really sure, but I want it to be a positive thing. I want this to
Yeah.
be positive growth for everybody out there as you're dealing with whatever secrets come your way. So thank you so much again for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.